Hi everyone, we are the second group, and our group members Jordan, Kai Hongle, and Mi Sunwei will debate whether the sports funds should be provided to everyone. Well, our group's view is that the sports funds should not be provided to everyone, but to the elite. So, in most people's minds, the sports is a very common thing that appears in lives almost every day. But the sports industry is different from the sports. It is an elite industry. So what does this word mean? Here is an example. We all know that the Australian institution of sports has existed since 1980. One of the factors that motivated the creation of this academic was the performance of the Australia team at 1976 Olympics. Only 1 silver medal and 4 bronze medals were won. For a country like Australia, which is extremely passionate about sports, which is considered unsuccessful. So many people support the idea of funding by the national government to help the Australian individuals and the teams become more competitive on the international sports arena. So this case is a typical case that can express the view of our group. So let's consider about the question. Why didn't an Australian government invest the funds to existing schools? The first is insufficient funds. The funds that the government can provide are very limited. It is not enough to be distributed to everyone. Therefore, it is necessary to select it and allocate the funds to people who are worthy of investment. Second, the ratio of capital investment to income. We all know that the professional matters should be left to the professional people. So similarly, only when the funds allocated to the elite talents can they get more value returns, the honor, the money, something like this. And from now on, you may think that all the above points are too objective, and you still feel kind of unfair to the distribution funds that cannot distribute the funds to everyone. So last but not least, let me tell you more about the fairness. Well, on the contrary, I think it is fair to allocate the funds to the elite. Because in the sports industry, it will take a lot to become an elite. The manpower, the money, the effect, the exercise, all of this investable upfront investment also should not be ignored. So our group think that elites are more worthy of these sports funds than ordinary people.
I was mentioned previously of my previous groupmate, and she said why elite sports should be receive the most investment. I can point out another reason why they should be is that with elite sport enjoy the highest level of investment, they can drive a massive amount of participation toward the sport. This this derived from the term were quoted by the UK philosopher is called virtuous cycle. This is whereby when elite sport receive the most funding and they succeed, it leads to a prestige toward the sport in a national, in a citywide or a national level, which in turn create a very called a feel good factors among the population, which lead to an increased participation among the masses. This means in the long run lead to a healthier population in a city or a nation, or to increase pool of people that can join the drive toward the elite sport. This can be clearly seen in the example of the Chicago Bulls in the 1780s. Back then, during that time, Chicago was very high crime rate. Not many people were very participating in sport because the national sport of basketball was not doing very well. In that city, they're losing constantly. They even nearly facing to being eliminated from the national league. So not many people watching the sport itself. Even less known sport like futsal or indoor soccer have even more viewership toward toward it, which in turn that a lot of this basketball facility was being abandoned because not many people using it as well. So instead of withdraw even more funding from the sport, the Chicago um, council, they take a bet and invest with more fund toward the sport so that the city team can get a better draft, which in turn they use that massive amount of money to draft in one of the best and well-known lineup during that time, even nowadays, which is include like the legendary Michael Jordan or the great five of the 70s Chicago Bulls. And during a decade worth a period, they win back to back, championship after championship after championship, to the point that they save the sport itself. They increase the viewership to a significant amount of viewership that and inspire like millions of younger generation to join to participate in the sport. That the city struggle to meet the demand, to build up facility that can meet the demand, and also on the other hand, with a lot of people joining the more sport because of the inspiration, it lowered down the crime rate and also boosts the economy as well because it attract it attract investment from other to invest into the sport because of the prestige that was gained by the 70 Chicago Bulls. So as a result, if we invest fully focus on investing toward the elite sport, is much a better choice than to invest it widely among the masses.
Uh, I'm Jordan. I'm from Group 2B, and in my opinion, government funding for sports should go to elite athletes simply because they are skilled individuals who will bring the country they represent exposure and the opportunity to compete for international glory. You might be asking yourself, what makes an athlete elite? To be considered an elite sportsman, one must prove technical and physical competency and long-term commitment to the sport. Elites dedicate themselves to training and competing at the highest level. They choose to forego the stability and security of a normal, stable life to devote their life to sport. A study done in 2003 by the Public Administration Review on performance-based budgeting or results-oriented budgeting suggests that performance budgeting improves allocative efficiency in resource and funding decisions. Take, for example, within the tennis world, Roger Federer would be considered the most decorated player of all time, and he has devoted 25 years of his life to the sport. This devotion in perfecting his craft has allowed Federer to win competitions, making him worthy of the financial support he has received from tournament winnings, sponsorships, and other fundings of that nature. Therefore, this calculated risk should be one of, if not the most important factor when prioritizing who to allocate funding to within the sport industry.